Mom, I really think you need to consider assisted living. My son Brian stood in my kitchen, clipboard in hand, ticking off items like he was conducting a safety inspection, which, apparently, he was. The stairs are a fall risk. The bathroom doesn't have grab bars. This entire house is a lawsuit waiting to happen. A lawsuit? I set down my coffee. Oh, who exactly am I suing? Myself? You know what I mean. You're 73 years old, living alone in a two-story house. Something could happen. Something could happen anywhere. I could get hit by a meteor in assisted living. Mom, I'm serious. Diane and I have been discussing this. We think you should move in with us, just temporarily, until we find you a proper facility. I looked at my son, 45 years old, successful tech executive, living in a minimalist loft downtown with his equally successful wife. And he wanted me to move in. Temporarily, I repeated, just until we sort out your living situation. My living situation is sorted. I live here in my house that I've owned for 40 years. A house that's unsafe for someone your age. That's when I had the idea. The absolutely brilliant, slightly petty, completely justified idea. You're right, I said. This house is probably unsafe. I should move in with you. When can I come? Brian blinked. Really? You're agreeing? Absolutely. I trust your judgment. If you think I need supervision, I should definitely move in. Today works for me. Today? Is that a problem? You said the house was unsafe. I shouldn't spend another night here. I'll pack now. Let me call Diane. You do that. I'll start packing. As Brian stepped outside to call his wife, I called someone much more important. Marge, it's Dorothy. Round up the girls. We're going on a field trip. My name is Dorothy Chen. I'm 73 years old. I live in a beautiful Victorian house in Portland, Oregon. I play bridge 4 nights a week with my club. I garden. I volunteer. I travel. I live a full, independent, wonderful life. And my son thinks I'm incompetent. Not in those words, of course. He wraps it in concern and safety and what's best for you, Mom. But the message is clear. He thinks I'm too old to manage my own life. This started 6 months ago when I fell off a ladder trimming my rose bushes. I wasn't hurt. Bruised hip. Nothing serious. I called Brian to let him know because I thought he'd find it funny. Your mother is still climbing ladders at 73. Instead, he panicked. Mom, you could have broken a hip. At your age, a broken hip is basically a death sentence. I didn't break anything. I'm fine. This time. What about next time? There won't be a next time. I learned my lesson. No more ladder climbing. But Brian didn't let it go. He started calling more frequently, checking in, asking probing questions about my daily routine, my health, my capabilities. Then came the visits, unannounced inspections disguised as casual drop-bys. Just thought I'd see how you're doing. He'd wander through my house, noting every loose floorboard, every burnt-out light bulb, every piece of evidence that I wasn't maintaining the property to his standards. Mom, this banister is wobbly. It's been wobbly for 20 years. That's not safe. I don't lean on it. You should. That's what banisters are for. Then I'll get it fixed. Or you could move somewhere that doesn't have stairs. Always circling back to that. Move somewhere safer. Somewhere appropriate for your age. Translation, somewhere he could monitor me, control me, make decisions for me. I raised this man, changed his diapers, helped with his homework, paid for his college, and now he wanted to put me in a facility like I was some fragile antique that needed to be carefully stored. Well, if he wanted me to move in, I'd move in, but I wouldn't be coming alone. The bridge club meets at my house every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. We've been playing together for 15 years, 4 women, all in our 70s, all fiercely independent, all with adult children who worry too much. Marge is 75, former attorney, sharp as ever. Her daughter keeps suggesting memory care because Marge sometimes forgets where she put her keys. Marge reminds her that she forgot her keys at 32. Patricia is 71. Retired professor, still publishes academic papers. Her son thinks she should take it easy and stop overworking herself. She tells him she'll rest when she's dead. Susan is 74, widowed 10 years ago, travels constantly. Her children think she should settle down and stay close to home in case something happens. She tells them she's staying close to adventure. And then there's me, Dorothy, 73, apparently living in a death trap that requires immediate evacuation. I called them each individually, explained the situation, made my proposal. Brian thinks my house is unsafe. He wants me to move in with him until they find me appropriate housing, so I'm moving in, and I need company. Are you ladies up for a sleepover? Marge laughed so hard I thought she might actually need medical attention. You're inviting us to invade your son's minimalist loft? For safety purposes. I'm elderly. I need supervision. Multiple supervisors, ideally? How long are we talking? As long as it takes for Brian to realize my house is perfectly fine. I'm in, Marge said immediately. My daughter's been on me about downsizing. This'll give her something to really worry about. Patricia was equally enthusiastic. I've been looking for an excuse to escape my son's latest intervention. He hired a geriatric care manager to evaluate me. A sleepover sounds perfect. Susan didn't even hesitate. When do we leave? Today. Pack for a week. A week in a Tech Bros loft? This is going to be beautiful. Brian returned from his call looking nervous. Diane says, she says you can move in, but we'll need a few days to prepare the guest room. No need. I'm ready now. Now? You said the house was unsafe. I'm not spending another night here. Mom, that's not... Unless you're saying the house is actually fine? He walked right into that one. No, it's not fine. It's definitely not fine. You should definitely move out. Great. I'll just grab my things. Oh, and I called the girls. They're coming too. The girls? My bridge club. Marge, Patricia, and Susan. They'll be staying with me. Wait, what? All of you? Well, yes, I can't just abandon our games. We play 4 nights a week. It's important for cognitive health. You want me to maintain my cognitive health, don't you? Yes, but, and honestly, Brian, at my age, I shouldn't be alone. If something happens, I need people around. You said so yourself. I meant us, Diane and me. You work all day. I need full-time supervision. The girls can help with that. His face went through several expressions. Confusion, realization, horror. Mom, our loft isn't set up for 5 people. Then it's lucky we're all seniors and don't take up much space. We'll make it work. By 6 p.m., we'd all arrived. 4 elderly women with suitcases, bridge supplies, and absolutely no intention of being convenient house guests. Brian and Diane's loft was exactly what you'd expect from 2 successful tech professionals who'd read one too many Architectural Digest articles. Open concept, minimalist aesthetic, everything white, gray, or beige. Expensive furniture that looked beautiful but uncomfortable. Art that probably cost thousands but looked like something a toddler made. No clutter, no personality, no warmth. Perfect. Wow, Marge said, looking around. This is very, clean. Where's the color? Patricia asked. Where are the books? Susan wondered. Diane emerged from the bedroom. She was 42, sleek, professional, currently looking at us like we were a home invasion. Mrs. Chen, welcome. I didn't realize you were bringing guests. Oh, these aren't guests. This is my care team. Marge, Patricia, Susan, meet Diane. We'd coordinated our arrival. Each of us brought 1 large suitcase, 1 bridge table quarter, 1 folding chair, and various essential supplies. Brian stared at the pile of luggage. How long are you planning to stay? However long it takes to find me appropriate housing. Could be weeks. Weeks? You said my house was unsafe. I can't go back until it's fixed. That takes time, contractors, permits, you understand? Diane looked at Brian. Brian looked at me. I smiled sweetly. Should we pick our rooms? Marge asked. There's one guest room, Diane said weakly. Perfect, we'll share, like a slumber party. We claimed the guest room immediately. It was nice, too nice, everything pristine and perfectly arranged. Within 20 minutes, we'd transformed it. 4 suitcases open, clothes everywhere, bridge supplies organized on the dresser, Patricia's reading lamp set up, Susan's travel humidifier running, Marge's morning meditation cushion on the floor. The room looked lived in, comfortable, chaotic. Diane passed by, saw the transformation, and made a small, squeaking noise. Don't worry, dear, I told her. We're very neat, usually. If you've never seen what happens when you put 4 elderly women who've been friends for 15 years into a 2-bedroom minimalist loft, let me paint you a picture. First, we don't wake up at civilized hours. Marge is up at 5 a.m. She meditates, loudly, with chanting. Patricia is up at 5:30. She makes coffee. The grinder sounds like a jet engine. Susan is up at 6. She does yoga in the living room because the energy is better there. I'm up at 6:30. I make breakfast for everyone, which means the kitchen, previously pristine, becomes a disaster zone of pans, eggs, toast, and the general chaos of cooking for 5 people. By 7 a.m., when Brian and Diane stumbled out of their bedroom looking like they'd survived a natural disaster, we were all cheerfully eating breakfast at their dining table. Good morning, I chirped. Coffee's ready. I made extra. Brian looked at the kitchen, at the dishes, at the 4 elderly women now occupying his home. How long have you been up? Oh, hours. We're early risers. It's good for the circulation. Diane grabbed her coffee and retreated to her bedroom without speaking. She's not a morning person, Brian explained. We noticed, Marge said. The screaming when I chanted was a clue. Second, we're loud. Not intentionally, we're just communicative, enthusiastic, hard of hearing. Every conversation happens at maximum volume. Patricia, did you see where I put my glasses? Which glasses? My reading glasses. Check the bathroom. I did. Check again. Brian worked from home that day. Conference calls, important meetings, professional discussions. We could hear him through the bedroom door. I apologize for the noise. My mother is visiting. Dorothy, the bathroom is occupied. Use the other one. There is no other one. There's a half bath by the kitchen. Where? Behind the weird art. Brian's face appeared at his door. Can you please keep it down? Sorry, dear, we'll whisper. Our whispers were roughly the same volume as our normal voices. Third, we have hobbies. Many hobbies. Patricia knits, click, 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 click all day long. Susan does jigsaw puzzles on the coffee table. 1,000-piece puzzles that take over the entire surface. Marge reads poetry aloud. For practice, she's in a local theater group. I garden. There wasn't a garden, so I brought plants, lots of plants. The entire balcony became a greenhouse. By day 2, Brian's minimalist loft looked like a retirement home exploded. Yarn everywhere. Puzzle pieces scattered. Books stacked on every surface. Plants covering the balcony and creeping inside. And we were just getting started. We established routines. Routines designed for maximum disruption disguised as elderly necessity. 5 a.m., Marge's meditation and chanting session. She sat in the living room facing east, humming at a frequency that seemed to vibrate the walls. Om, om, om. 5:30. M, Patricia's coffee ritual. She didn't just make coffee, she performed coffee, grinding beans fresh, heating water to exact temperature, French press, pour over, espresso machine. She tried every method, every morning, comparing results aloud. The French press has better body, but the pour-over has superior clarity. The espresso is too intense this morning. I'll adjust the grind tomorrow. 6 a.m. Susan's yoga session. Not quiet yoga. Instructor video yoga with the volume at maximum. And breathe into downward dog. Feel your sitting bones reach for the sky. Exhale into child's pose. Susan would call out confirmations. I'm breathing. I'm reaching. My sitting bones are skyward. 6:30 a.m. My cooking hour. Breakfast for 5. Every day a different menu. Monday, full English breakfast. Eggs, bacon, sausage, beans, toast, grilled tomatoes. Every burner in use. Tuesday, pancakes from scratch with fresh berries and whipped cream and maple syrup heated in a small pot because cold syrup is barbaric. Wednesday, omelets made to order, which meant 5 separate omelets, 5 different sets of fillings, 5 rounds of dirtying pans. Thursday, French toast with homemade berry compote and powdered sugar that somehow ended up on every surface within a 10-foot radius. Friday, breakfast burritos with homemade salsa, which meant chopping vegetables at 6:30 a.m. Chop, 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 chop on a cutting board that sounded like a percussion instrument. By 7 a.m., when Brian and Diane emerged, their kitchen looked like a cooking show disaster episode. Dishes everywhere, food splatters. 4 elderly women eating and chatting and planning their day loudly. What's on the agenda for today? Marge would ask. I'm finishing my puzzle, Susan would announce. I'm knitting a sweater, Patricia would declare. I'm repotting my plants, I'd add. Sounds like a full day. Marge would conclude. Brian would pour coffee with shaking hands. Diane would grab a piece of toast and retreat. Good morning, I'd call after them. Sleep well? The answer was always no. They never slept well. How could they? We were loud, active, and everywhere. Day 3 brought new challenges. Patricia decided to reorganize their pantry. Brian, dear, your spice rack is completely illogical. Alphabetical organization is inefficient. We should organize by cuisine type. My spice rack is fine. Fine. You have cumin next to cinnamon. They're not even used in the same types of cooking. They both start with C. That's the problem. We'll fix this. She spent 4 hours reorganizing their entire pantry. By cuisine, then by frequency of use, then by color. Then back to cuisine because color coding was aesthetically pleasing but practically useless. Brian came home to find every single item from his pantry spread across the kitchen counter. Patricia, standing in the middle, consulting a notebook. What is happening? Optimization. Your kitchen will thank me. I don't want my kitchen optimized. I want it how it was. It was chaos. It was alphabetical. Alphabetical is chaos with letters. They argued about pantry organization for 20 minutes. Patricia won. The pantry stayed reorganized. Susan's puzzle addiction created its own problems. She was working on a 1,000-piece puzzle. Autumn landscape. Lots of orange and brown pieces that all looked identical. The puzzle took over the coffee table, then expanded to the floor around the coffee table, then migrated to the dining table when she needed better light. Diane came home from work, set her briefcase on the table, right on top of 200 carefully sorted puzzle pieces. Susan's gasp could have been heard in Seattle. You destroyed my sorting! I'm sorry, I didn't see. I had the orange pieces separated from the brown. Now they're all mixed. It's just a puzzle. Just a puzzle. That evening, Susan implemented new rules. No one could use the dining table, coffee table, or any flat surface within 6 feet of her puzzle without explicit written permission. Diane looked at Brian. She's banned me from my own dining table. It's just for a few days. She's on piece 200. Of 1,000, that's not a few days. Brian had no response. Marge's meditation evolved. Day 1. quiet humming. Day 2, moderate chanting. Day 3, full mantras with hand symbols. Ting. Om Mani Padme Hum. Ting. Om Mani Padme Hum. At 5 a.m. every morning, Brian appeared at her door on day 4, looking like he hadn't slept in a week, which he hadn't. Marge, please, the symbols. They're essential to the practice. At 5 a.m., the morning energy is purest at dawn. Can you practice silently? Silent meditation doesn't cleanse the energy of the space. What space needs cleansing? This one, it's very tense, lots of stress. The symbols help. The symbols are causing the stress. No, dear, the symbols are revealing the stress that was already here. You're welcome. She went back to chanting. My gardening project expanded beyond the balcony. I started with the plants I'd brought, herbs mostly, basil, rosemary, thyme, mint. But plants need companionship, so I bought more. Tomatoes in large pots for the balcony, lettuce in window boxes for the kitchen windows, flowers for aesthetic purposes for every available surface. By day 4, their loft looked like a greenhouse. Diane came home to find me installing a small grow light over the kitchen counter. Dorothy, what are you doing? The lettuce needs supplemental lighting. Northern exposure isn't sufficient. You're growing lettuce in our kitchen. Well, yes, fresh salad, very healthy. You'll thank me. I don't want lettuce in my kitchen. Where should I grow it then? The bathroom has better light, but humidity issues could cause mold. I don't want you growing lettuce anywhere. Then where will we get fresh salad? The store. Store-bought lettuce sits for days. This will be hours from harvest to table. She looked at Brian. Brian looked at his phone. Neither could argue with the health benefits of fresh vegetables. The lettuce stayed, along with the tomatoes, herbs, flowers, and the small grow light that hummed constantly. Day 3 was bridge night. Girls, it's Tuesday, I announced at dinner. Game night! Brian looked up from his phone. Game night? Bridge. We play every Tuesday and Thursday. Here? Well, yes, we can't go back to my unsafe house, remember? We set up the bridge table in the living room, right in front of the TV. Which was fine because we weren't watching TV. We were playing cards from 7 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Bridge is not a quiet game when you're competitive. Marge slaps cards down like she's trying to break the table. Slam, slam, slam. Patricia talks through every hand. 2 clubs, showing strength, probably 16 to 18 points, maybe 19 if she's shading. What does that mean for my bid? Susan keeps score allowed. That's 30 points above the line. We need 70 more for game. We're vulnerable now. And I provide running commentary. Patricia, why did you lead with that? That's practically giving them the contract. It was a good lead, and it was terrible. You're just mad I didn't lead your suit. Because my suit was obviously the right lead. Ladies, focus! We're still in the middle of the hand. At 8 p.m., Diane appeared in her pajamas. Are you planning to play much longer? Oh, we're just getting started, Susan said cheerfully. First to 500 points wins. Ah, and we're competitive, Marge added. Could take hours. We've been playing for an hour. You have 40 points. Exactly. Only 460 more to go. At 9 p.m., Brian came out. Politely, reasonably. Mom, maybe you could wrap up soon? We have work tomorrow. So do we. This is work. Mental exercise. Doctor says bridge is excellent for cognitive health. At a reasonable hour. The brain doesn't stop at bedtime, dear. At 10 p.m., Brian came out less politely. Mom, please, we need sleep. Then sleep. We'll be quiet. We were not quiet. We are incapable of being quiet. At 11 p.m., a neighbor banged on the wall. Some of us have jobs. So do we, Marge yelled back. We're professional bridge players. We're not professional bridge players, but the neighbor didn't need to know that. At midnight, Brian appeared looking like a zombie. Mom, I'm begging you. Begging me what? To stop, to go to sleep, to have mercy. We are on our last hand, promise. The last hand took 45 minutes. Patricia and I bid 6 hearts, made it with an overtrick, celebrated loudly. Yes, and did you see that finesse? Beautiful, textbook. That's how it's done. Then we made snacks, because bridge makes you hungry. Popcorn, cheese and crackers, tea for Marge, hot chocolate for Patricia, wine for Susan, coffee for me, because I'd be up anyway. We sat around their kitchen, snacking and analyzing every hand we'd played. When you bid 3 spades, I thought you were crazy. I had 17 points, with terrible distribution. My distribution was fine. Your distribution was a nightmare. At 1:30 a.m., Brian appeared. Just appeared. Stood in the doorway, staring. Brian, want some popcorn? He didn't answer, just turned around and went back to bed. I think he's tired, Marge observed. Poor dear, he should sleep more. Day 4, Diane cracked first. I wasn't supposed to hear this. But I was in the kitchen, organizing spices, snooping, and they were in the bedroom with the door not quite closed. Brian, this isn't working. I know, but what can I do? I told her the house was unsafe. I can't backtrack now. Her house is fine. You know it's fine. It's safer than this place. We don't even have a railing on the loft stairs. That's different. How is it different? Because she's my mother and I worry about her. Your mother is fine. She's climbing our stairs multiple times per day. She's gardening on our balcony. She's cooking elaborate meals. She's playing bridge until 2 a.m. She's not fragile. I know that now. Then tell her she can go home. I can't. Why not? Because then I'll look like an idiot. You already look like an idiot. You have 4 elderly women living in our loft. They've turned our home into a senior center. Yesterday I found Patricia's knitting needles in our bed. In our bed? The needles were sharp. I could have been stabbed. That was probably an accident. It wasn't an accident. She's marking her territory. They're all marking their territory. Diane, please. No, I haven't slept in 4 days. I can't work. I can't think. This morning, Marge's meditation symbols made me cry. Actual tears, Brian? I'll talk to her. Talk to all of them, or I'm moving to a hotel. Silence, then. You can't move to a hotel. This is our home. Is it? Because it feels like their home now. I quietly retreated from the kitchen, made a mental note to tell the girls to ease up slightly, not too much. Just enough to keep Diane from actually leaving. We had a meeting that afternoon. The 4 of us, on the balcony, among my plants. Diane's at her breaking point, I reported. Already? Susan sounded disappointed. It's only been 4 days. She hasn't slept. Brian hasn't slept. The neighbors are complaining we might be pushing too hard. Or not hard enough, Marge suggested. If we push just a little more, Brian will crack completely and admit the house was fine all along. Or he'll double down and actually start looking at assisted living facilities, Patricia warned. Good point. We need to escalate strategically. Make it clear we're not going anywhere, but we're also not destroying their lives completely. What did you have in mind? Day 5, we go big. Then day 6, we ease off just enough to give them hope. Then day 7, we deliver the killing blow. I love a good plan, Susan said. What's day 5? Exercise class in the living room at 6 a.m. Brilliant, Marge said. I'll lead it. I know Tai Chi. And we'll start a book club, Susan added. Discuss literature, loudly, in the afternoon. Cooking club, Patricia suggested. New recipes every night, complicated ones. And Sunday, I said, is bridge tournament day. We'll invite the entire Portland Bridge Club, 47 members, to their building. Now that, Marge said with admiration, is strategic escalation. Day 5, we started Tai Chi. Marge had been practicing Tai Chi for 20 years. She was good. She was also enthusiastic about sharing her knowledge. At 6 a.m., she set up her laptop in the living room, found an instructional video, volume at maximum. All right, ladies, Tai Chi time. The video started, peaceful Chinese music, then a voice. Welcome to Tai Chi for beginners. Today we will learn the basic forms. Marge led us through the movements. We followed. Sort of. Breathe in, raise your arms, feel the energy flowing. I'm breathing, I'm raising, I'm feeling. Breathe out, lower your arms, sink into the earth. I'm sinking, my knees are protesting, but I'm sinking. The video was 45 minutes long. We practiced all 45 minutes in the living room with enthusiasm and volume. Brian appeared at 6:15, hair standing up, eyes bloodshot. What is happening? Tai Chi, want to join? At 6 a.m.? Best time. Morning energy is optimal for practice. The neighbors should join us. Exercise is important at any age. One of the neighbors did join us. Mrs. Rodriguez from 3 floors down. She was 81. She'd heard the commotion and came to investigate. This looks fun. Can I participate? Of course. The more the merrier. Mrs. Rodriguez joined our Tai Chi session. She was delightful. She was also loud. This is wonderful. Why don't more buildings offer this? Now we were 5 elderly women doing Tai Chi at 6 a.m. in Brian's living room. The neighbor who'd complained about Bridge banged on the wall again. Are you serious right now? Tai Chi is serious business, Marge yelled back. After Tai Chi, we had our usual breakfast chaos, now with Mrs. Rodriguez as a guest. You ladies are so active, so energetic. I wish my daughter was more like you. What does your daughter want you to do? Move to assisted living, says I'm too isolated. But I'm not isolated. I have friends, activities. Same here, I said. My son thinks my house is unsafe. Is it? Not even a little bit. Then why are you here? Teaching him a lesson. Mrs. Rodriguez cackled. I love it. Can I help? And just like that, we had a 5th conspirator. Day 5 afternoon was book club. Patricia had chosen the book, a dense literary novel, very intellectual, very discussable. We sat in the living room, discussed themes, symbolism, character development at high volume. The author's use of water imagery is clearly symbolic. Of what? Rebirth, transformation, the fluidity of identity. I thought it was just about a river. It's never just about a river. Rivers are metaphors. Mrs. Rodriguez had opinions, many opinions. She hadn't read the book, but that didn't stop her. I think the protagonist is clearly dealing with unresolved maternal issues. The protagonist's mother isn't in the book. Exactly, the absence is the issue. We discussed literature for 3 hours, loudly, passionately, probably incorrectly. Diane came home in the middle of our debate about whether the ending was hopeful or nihilistic. It's obviously hopeful. The bird flies away. Birds don't symbolize hope. They symbolize freedom or death. Why would a bird symbolize death? Because they're also carrion eaters. Diane dropped her briefcase, stared at us, turned around, left. She came back 20 minutes later with wine. A lot of wine. If you can't beat them, she muttered, pouring herself a very full glass. Day 5 dinner was cooking club night. Patricia's turn to choose. She chose Julia Child's Boeuf Bourguignon, a recipe that takes approximately 4 hours and uses every pot, pan, and utensil in the kitchen. We started at 3 p.m. just to be safe. Browning beef, rendering bacon, sautéing vegetables, deglazing pans, reducing wine, braising, stirring, tasting, adjusting seasonings. The kitchen became a French restaurant disaster zone. Diane came home at 6 p.m., stopped in the doorway. What is that smell? Boeuf bourguignon, Julia Child's recipe. Isn't it wonderful? It smells like a wine factory exploded. We used 3 bottles. Authentic French cooking requires authentic French wine. 3 bottles of wine in one dish, plus the bottle we drank while cooking for moral support. The dish was ready at 7 p.m. It was, objectively, delicious. The kitchen looked like a war zone, but the food was perfect. Brian and Diane sat at the table with us. Ate in silence. The boeuf bourguignon was so good it temporarily overcame their exhaustion and frustration. This is, Diane paused. This is actually really good. Thank you, dear. Would you like the recipe? I would never have 4 hours to make this. Well, that's what you have us for. We have nothing but time. Diane looked at Brian. Brian looked at his plate. Both of them realized, simultaneously, that this could be their life forever if they didn't fix the situation. But how could they fix it without Brian admitting he was wrong? We were counting on that question, counting on them realizing there was no good exit except the truth. Girls, it's Tuesday, I announced at dinner. Game night. Brian looked up from his phone. Game night? Bridge we play every Tuesday and Thursday. Here? Well, yes, we can't go back to my unsafe house, remember? We set up the bridge table in the living room, right in front of the TV, which was fine because we weren't watching TV. We were playing cards. From 7 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Marge slaps cards down like she's trying to break the table. Patricia talks through every hand. Susan keeps score in a voice loud enough for the neighbors to hear. And I provide commentary on everyone's playing. Patricia, why did you lead with that? It felt right. Well, it wasn't. Don't criticize my instincts. Your instincts are wrong. At 10 p.m., Diane appeared in her pajamas. Are you planning to play much longer? Oh, we're just getting started, Susan said cheerfully. First to 500 points wins. And we're competitive, Marge added. Could take hours. At midnight, Brian came out. Mom, please, we have work tomorrow. So do we. This is work. Mental exercise. You wouldn't want us to decline cognitively, would you? At 1:30 a.m., we finally finished. Patricia won. We celebrated loudly. Then we made midnight snacks, because bridge makes you hungry. Brian appeared in the kitchen, looking like a zombie. Are you making... Is that popcorn? Brain food, I said. Want some? I want sleep. You should go to bed then. We'll try to keep it down. We didn't keep it down. We never keep it down. Day 4, Diane cracked first. Brian, this isn't working. I wasn't supposed to hear this, but I was in the kitchen, organizing spices, snooping, and they were in the bedroom with the door not quite closed. I know, but what can I do? I told her the house was unsafe. I can't backtrack now. Her house is fine. You know it's fine. It has stairs. So does our building. She takes the stairs here too. That's different. How? I don't know. It just is. Brian, they're loud. They're everywhere. They've turned our loft into a senior center. Yesterday, I found knitting needles in our bed. In our bed. That was probably an accident. They're playing bridge until 2 a.m. every night. I haven't slept in 3 days. It's only been 4 days. It feels like 4 months. Excellent. The plan was working. Day 5, we escalated. Girls, I announced at breakfast. I've been thinking we need activities, structure, a routine. What did you have in mind? Patricia asked, catching on immediately. Exercise class in the living room every morning at 6 a.m. Brilliant, Marge said. I'll lead it. I know Tai Chi. And we should start a book club, Susan added. Discuss literature. Loudly. Cooking club, Patricia suggested. We'll try new recipes every night. Brian overheard this. Mom, you really don't need to. Nonsense. We can't just sit around. That's how seniors decline. We need stimulation, engagement, purpose. That morning, we started Tai Chi in the living room at 6 a.m. with instructional videos playing at full volume. Marge led us through movements while the TV blared, breathe in, breathe out, feel the energy. We felt the energy. So did the neighbors. Several of them complained. Your mother is doing what? We heard someone yell through the wall. Brian appeared looking like he hadn't slept. Please, the neighbors are complaining. About Tai Chi? It's therapeutic. It's 6 a.m. Early bird gets the worm, or in our case, good health and flexibility. Day 6, we started the cooking club. Every night, a different person chose a recipe. A complicated recipe. That required hours of preparation and left the kitchen looking like a war zone. Patricia made authentic French coq au vin, used every pot, pan, and utensil in the kitchen. Susan made homemade pasta from scratch, flour everywhere, dough on the ceiling somehow. Marge made Thai curry. The smell was so strong it set off the smoke alarm. I made my grandmother's dumpling recipe. Took 4 hours, used every counter surface. Worth it. Diane came home each night to chaos. Cooking chaos, laughing chaos, elderly women everywhere cooking and chatting and making her minimalist kitchen look like a disaster zone. This is actually very nice, she said on night 6, tasting Patricia's coq au vin. Thank you, dear. Would you like the recipe? I would never have time to make this. Well, that's what you have us for. We have nothing but time. Diane looked at Brian. Brian looked at his plate. Neither said anything. But I could see it, the realization dawning, the understanding that we weren't leaving anytime soon, that this was his new reality. Day 7 was Sunday. Bridge tournament day. Girls, we need to host the tournament this week. Here? Susan asked. Where else? My house is unsafe, remember? The Portland Bridge Club has 47 members. We invited all of them. Mom, you can't. Can't what? Play cards. It's our weekly tournament. We can't just cancel. These people depend on us. 47 people won't fit in our loft. Then it's lucky we'll be using the community room downstairs. I already booked it. In your name. Hope that's okay. It wasn't okay. But what could he say? Sunday afternoon, 47 elderly bridge players invaded Brian's building. The community room, the lobby, the hallways, everywhere. Cards, laughter, arguments about bidding, the beautiful chaos of competitive bridge. We played from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Some people brought snacks. Some brought wine. Everyone brought enthusiasm and volume. The building manager came by. Is this, are you all residents? We're guests, I said cheerfully. Visiting my son, Brian Chen, Unit 412. All of you? Well, no, just us 4. The others are our club members. We play every week, mental stimulation, very important for seniors. In the community room? Your website says it's available for resident events. This is a resident event. Brian's my son. I'm staying with him. Therefore, resident. The logic was airtight. The manager looked confused but couldn't find a reason to shut us down. At 8 p.m., we finally wrapped up. Patricia had won the tournament. We celebrated with champagne. Brian was waiting when we got back to the loft. Mom, we need to talk. Of course, dear. Let me just... Now, please. The other ladies discreetly retreated to our shared room. I sat on Brian's uncomfortable minimalist couch. This isn't working, he said. What isn't working? This, you living here, the bridge club, the cooking, the Tai Chi, the tournament, all of it. I thought you wanted me to move in? I wanted you to be safe. I am safe. I have 3 friends watching me at all times. I'm probably safer than I've ever been. Mom, you know what I mean. I really don't, Brian. You said my house was unsafe. You insisted I move in with you. I've moved in. I've brought appropriate companions for supervision. We're being productive, active, engaged. Everything you wanted. I wanted you in a quiet, controlled environment. You wanted me in a nursing home. Silence. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Assisted living, appropriate facility, controlled environment, it's all code for the same thing. You want me warehoused somewhere you don't have to think about me. That's not fair. Isn't it? Brian, I'm 73, not 93. I'm healthy, active, independent. I don't need to be managed. I need to be respected. I do respect you. Do you? Because telling me my house is unsafe when it's perfectly fine? That's not respect. That's control. That's you deciding you know better than I do about my own life. He sat down, put his head in his hands. I worry about you. I know you do, and I love that you care. But Brian, you can't wrap me in bubble wrap and lock me away. That's not living. That's just waiting to die. I don't want you to fall again. I'm going to fall eventually. Everyone does. But I'd rather fall climbing a ladder in my own garden than waste away in some facility watching TV all day. What if something serious happens? Then it happens and I'll deal with it, with my friends, in my home, on my terms. Mom, Brian, here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow, the girls and I are going back to my perfectly safe house. We're going to resume our normal lives, playing bridge, gardening, traveling, living, and you're going to let us. Because we're not children. We're adults who've earned the right to make our own decisions. And if I don't agree, then we'll stay here permanently. I'll invite the entire bridge club to move in. We'll host tournaments every week. We'll take up Tai Chi, yoga, ballroom dancing, pottery, and whatever else we can think of. Your minimalist loft will become the Portland Senior Activity Center, your choice. He looked at me, really looked at me, saw not a fragile old woman who needed protecting, but his mother. Strong, stubborn, still very much in charge of her own life. Your house isn't really unsafe, is it? No, it's perfectly fine. Been fine for 40 years. Will be fine for 40 more. The stairs. Our stairs. I climb them every day, have climbed them thousands of times, will continue climbing them. I read an article about how many seniors fall at home. The statistics are numbers. I'm a person, not a data point. He nodded slowly. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have pushed. No, you shouldn't have, but I understand why you did. You love me, you worry. That's normal. But Brian, you have to trust that I know my own limits, that I'll ask for help when I need it, that I'm not going to stupidly endanger myself just to prove a point. Will you install grab bars in the bathroom? I'll consider it. And maybe look into a medical alert system? If you stop suggesting assisted living. Deal. We shook on it. A real deal. Mutual respect, boundaries established. The next morning we packed up, all 4 of us, restored Brian's loft to its minimalist perfection, removed every trace of our invasion, almost every trace. Marge left her meditation cushion in the closet. For next time, she whispered. Patricia left a ball of yarn under the couch, just in case. Susan left a puzzle piece, one single piece, hidden where it would drive Diane crazy trying to find the source. And I left a small potted plant on the balcony, a hardy succulent that required minimal care. Mom, you forgot. No, I didn't. That's for you. So you remember? Remember what? That I was here, that I'm still alive, still growing, still thriving, just like that plant. Brian hugged me, tight, the kind of hug he used to give when he was small and scared and needed reassurance. I love you, Mom. I love you too, kiddo, even when you're being ridiculous. I wasn't being ridiculous. I was being concerned. You were being controlling. There's a difference. I'll work on it. See that you do. Diane drove us back to my house, the unsafe house with its dangerous stairs and inadequate grab bars. It looked beautiful, welcoming, like home. Thank you for the adventure, Marge said as we unloaded. Thank you for the support, I replied. Same time next year, Susan asked. Let's hope not, but if Brian tries this again, I'll call. We'll be ready. Epilogue. That was 6 months ago. 6 months since 4 elderly women taught my son that unsafe is a matter of perspective. Brian visits regularly now, every Sunday, for brunch, at my house, my perfectly safe house. He installed grab bars in the bathroom. I let him. They're actually useful. He got me a medical alert bracelet. I wear it when I remember. He stopped suggesting assisted living. I stopped threatening to move in with my entire bridge club. We found a balance. Mutual respect. Adult to adult, not parent to child. Diane and I have gotten closer. She confessed that she'd been horrified by Brian's plan from the start. I told him your house was fine. He wouldn't listen. Then you 4 showed up, and I knew exactly what you were doing. It was brilliant. You could have stopped us. Why would I? You were teaching him a lesson he desperately needed to learn. The bridge club still meets at my house 4 nights a week. Sometimes Brian and Diane join us. They're terrible players. We love them anyway. Last month, Marge's daughter tried the same thing. Mom, your apartment isn't safe for someone your age. Marge called me. Girls' trip. Where to? My daughter's house. She has a spare room. Says I should stay until they find me appropriate housing. When do we leave? We spent 3 days at Marge's daughter's house. 3 days of loud bridge games, early morning Tai Chi, and experimental cooking. By day 4, Marge's daughter admitted her apartment was actually very safe and well maintained. The technique works. Every time. Last week, Brian called. Mom, Diane and I are thinking about starting a family. That's wonderful. We were hoping you might help with childcare if you're not too busy. I'm never too busy for my grandchildren when they arrive. And about that, we were thinking, when the baby comes, maybe we could move closer to you, instead of you moving closer to us. That would be nice, because your house is actually really great. Lots of room, safe, perfect for kids. I thought it was unsafe for seniors. Long pause. I was wrong about that. Yes, you were, but you figured it out. That's what matters. With some help from the Bridge Club. They're very helpful when properly motivated. I'll remember that. Ma, please do. Tomorrow is bridge night. The girls are coming over. We'll play until 1:30 a.m. We'll argue about bidding. We'll make too much noise. We'll eat too many snacks. And it will be perfect. Because we're not waiting to die. We're not being warehoused. We're not being managed. We're living on our terms, in our homes, with our friends, just like we should be. The end day 6 was Sunday, Bridge Tournament Day. The Portland Bridge Club meets every Sunday for competitive play. 47 members, all ages, though skewing elderly, all passionate about the game. I'd been hosting for years, but my house was unsafe, so we needed a new venue. Brian has generously offered his building's community room, I announced at Friday's game. We'll meet there this Sunday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Bring snacks. Brian had not generously offered anything, but he didn't need to know we were coming until it was too late to stop us. Sunday morning, I casually mentioned it. Oh, by the way, the Bridge Club is meeting in your community room today. I booked it under your name. Hope that's okay. Brian lowered his coffee. You what? Booked the community room for our tournament. 47 people, maybe 50 if the alternates come. 50 people? plus spectators. Some members bring their spouses. Don't worry, there's plenty of space. Mom, you can't just. Can't what? Use the community amenities? The website specifically says residents can book the room for events. You're a resident. I'm your guest. Therefore, resident event. That's not how that works. Isn't it? Would you like me to show you the booking confirmation? I pulled up the email. Official confirmation. Community room reserved. Sunday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Reserved by Brian Chen, Unit 412. His name, his unit number, all legitimate. How did you? Your password is your birthday. Very unsafe, dear. You should change it. Diane appeared, saw Brian's face. What happened? She booked the community room for 50 people for 6 hours using my name. When? Today, starting in 4 hours. Diane looked at me, really looked at me. And for the first time, I saw something that wasn't frustration or exhaustion. Respect. Maybe even admiration. That's brilliant, she said quietly. Diabolical, but brilliant. Thank you, dear. At 2 p.m., the Portland Bridge Club descended. 47 elderly bridge players, plus spouses, plus friends, plus Mrs. Rodriguez from downstairs, who'd invited her entire building's seniors group. 73 people, total. We filled the community room, set up 12 tables, laid out snacks, started playing. The noise was magnificent. Cards shuffling, players arguing about bids. Someone's phone ringing with an incredibly loud ringtone, Patricia's voice cutting through everything. That's not a legal bid. The building manager arrived at 3 p.m. Excuse me, are you all... Who authorized this? Brian Chen, Unit 412. He's a resident. This is a resident event. Bridge tournament. Very important for senior cognitive health. All 73 of you are his guests? Well, 4 of us are staying with him. The rest are club members. We play every week. Community building through card games. Don't you think buildings should encourage community? The manager looked overwhelmed. Yes, but... Wonderful. Would you like to play? We can teach you. No, I have to... There are noise complaints. From who? Multiple units. Tell them to join us. The more the merrier. 3 residents did join, including a younger couple from the second floor who were curious about all the commotion. By 4 p.m., we had 76 players. The tournament was in full swing. By 5 p.m., Brian and Diane showed up. They'd gone out for the afternoon, hoping to avoid the chaos. They walked into the community room, saw 76 elderly people playing cards, loud, happy, completely taking over their building. Brian's face went through several emotions: horror, resignation, acceptance. Diane started laughing, actually laughing, couldn't stop. Your mother is a genius, she told Brian, an absolute genius. She's destroying our lives. She's proving a point. What point? That she's not fragile, that she's not declining, that she's more capable of organizing 76 people for a bridge tournament than we are of stopping her. Brian sat down in one of the lobby chairs. Just sat, stared at the ceiling. How did this happen? You told her she was unsafe. She's showing you what unsafe actually looks like. At 8 p.m., the tournament ended. Patricia won. We celebrated loudly. Then we all helped clean up. Every table folded, every chair returned, every piece of trash collected. The community room looked better than when we'd started. The building manager was impressed. You cleaned up, completely. Of course. We're responsible adults. We don't leave messes. Thank you. That was surprisingly well organized. We're old, not incompetent. We went back to Brian's loft. All 5 of us. Mrs. Rodriguez had been invited to join our bridge club permanently and was now part of the invasion force. Brian was waiting. Mom, we need to talk. Of course, dear. Let me just... Now, please, just you and me. The other ladies discreetly retreated to our shared room. Brian and I sat on his uncomfortable minimalist couch. This isn't working, he said. What isn't working? This. You, living here, the bridge club, the cooking, the tai chi, the tournaments, all of it. I thought you wanted me to move in? I wanted you to be safe. I am safe. I have 4 friends watching me at all times. I'm probably safer than I've ever been. Plus, Mrs. Rodriguez now. That's 5 supervisors. Very thorough coverage. Mom, you know what I mean? I really don't, Brian. You said my house was unsafe. You insisted I move in with you. I've moved in. I've brought appropriate companions for supervision. We're being productive, active, engaged, everything you wanted. I wanted you in a quiet, controlled environment. You wanted me in a nursing home. Silence. Heavy, terrible silence. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Assisted living, appropriate facility, controlled environment, safe housing. It's all code for the same thing. You want me warehoused somewhere you don't have to think about me. Somewhere I'm someone else's responsibility. Somewhere you can visit once a month and feel like a good son without actually dealing with who I am. That's not fair, isn't it? Brian, I'm 73, not 93. I'm healthy, active, independent, sharp. I organized a 76-person bridge tournament this afternoon while you were hiding from me. Does that sound like someone who needs to be in a facility? You fell off a ladder 6 months ago, once. Haven't done it since. That's called learning from experience. It's what competent adults do. I worry about you. I know you do, and I love that you care. But Brian, you can't wrap me in bubble wrap and lock me away. That's not living. That's just waiting to die. I don't want you to get hurt. I'm going to get hurt eventually. Everyone does. But I'd rather fall off a ladder trimming my own roses than waste away in some facility watching TV 18 hours a day waiting for my children to visit. It wouldn't be like that. Yes, it would. That's exactly what it would be. I visited enough assisted living places. I've seen enough active senior communities. They're holding pens, decorated nicely, staff is kind, but they're places where people go to stop living and start dying. Mom, listen to me. Really listen. I play bridge 4 nights a week with my friends. I garden every morning. I volunteer at the library twice a week. I travel, I read, I cook, I live. I have a life, a full life, a good life. And you want to take that away because you're scared of something that might happen. Something that will happen eventually? Yes, eventually. But not today. Not this year. Maybe not for another 20 years. And even when it does happen, even when I do fall or get sick or need help, I have people. I have the bridge club. I have neighbors. I have friends. I'm not alone. I'm not helpless. I'm just old. There's a difference. He sat in silence, processing, thinking. Your house isn't really unsafe, is it? No, it's perfectly fine. Been fine for 40 years. Will be fine for 40 more, or until I die, whichever comes first. The stairs are stairs. I climb them every day, have climbed them thousands of times. Will continue climbing them. Yes, someday I might fall, but probably not. And if I do, I'll deal with it then, not now. Not by giving up my independence 20 years early just to avoid a theoretical risk. I read statistics. Statistics are averages. I'm not average. I'm specific. I'm me. I'm Dorothy Chen. I'm 73 years old. I have good balance, strong bones, sharp reflexes, and enough common sense not to climb ladders anymore. Those statistics don't apply to me. How can you be sure? I can't. That's the point. Life has no guarantees, but I can guarantee this. If you force me into assisted living, I'll be dead within a year. Not from falling, from despair, from giving up, from losing everything that makes life worth living. You really believe that? I know that. I've seen it happen to friends. Healthy, active people who got convinced they needed care. Within months, they're gone. Not from illness, from hopelessness. Brian put his head in his hands. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have pushed. No, you shouldn't have, but I understand why you did. You love me, you worry. That's normal. But Brian, you have to trust that I know my own limits, that I'll ask for help when I need it, that I'm not going to stupidly endanger myself just to prove a point. Will you at least install grab bars in the bathroom? I'll consider it. And maybe get a medical alert system if you stop suggesting assisted living. Deal. We shook on it. A real deal. Mutual respect. Boundaries established. Understanding reached. Can I ask you something? Brian said. Anything. The Bridge Club invasion. Was that planned from the beginning? The moment you said my house was unsafe? You set this whole thing up? The ladies and I developed the strategy over several phone calls. We call it aggressive demonstration of competence. Show the doubters what we're actually capable of. By making our lives miserable? By showing you that we're not fragile flowers who need protecting. We're forces of nature who happen to be elderly. You certainly proved that. Thank you. Now, are you ready for us to go home? Or should we stay another week? I'm sure we could organize a few more events. Bingo tournament, senior prom, competitive quilting. Please go home. Are you saying my house is safe? Long pause, deep breath, admission of defeat. Your house is perfectly safe. It was always safe. I was being controlling and paranoid. I'm sorry. Apology accepted. We'll pack tomorrow. Thank you. You're welcome, but Brian, if you ever try this again, we're moving in permanently. And I'll invite the entire Bridge Club, all 47 members, plus alternates. Understood. Good boy. The next morning, we packed, all 5 of us. We'd gained Mrs. Rodriguez during the invasion. She decided to become an official member of our Bridge Club. We restored Brian's loft to its minimalist perfection, almost. Each of us left something small behind, a reminder, a warning. Marge left her meditation cushion. For next time, she whispered. Patricia left a ball of yarn, just in case. Susan left a single puzzle piece, hidden where Diane would find it eventually and never figure out where it came from. Mrs. Rodriguez left a small framed photo of all 5 of us. So they remember what happened. And I left my succulent, a hardy plant that required minimal care. Mom, you forgot. No, I didn't. That's for you, so you remember. Remember what? That I was here, that I'm still alive, still growing, still thriving, still capable of organizing a 76-person event with 12 hours notice. Still very much in charge of my own life. Brian hugged me. Tight, real, apologetic. I love you, Mom. I love you too, kiddo, even when you're being ridiculous. I wasn't being ridiculous. I was being concerned. You were being controlling. There's a difference. I'll work on it. See that you do, or next time we're bringing the entire senior center, all 200 members, for a month. There won't be a next time. Good. Diane hugged me too. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For teaching him. He needed it. You're welcome. Sorry about the chaos. Don't be. It was the most alive this place has felt since we moved in. We went home, back to my perfectly safe house with its perfectly fine stairs and its perfectly adequate bathroom and its absolutely wonderful garden. The Bridge Club met that night. We celebrated our successful invasion, told stories, laughed until we cried. Best week ever, Marge declared. Should we do it again? Susan asked. Only if necessary, I said, but it's nice to know we can. A weapon of last resort, Patricia said. Mutually assured domestic destruction, Mrs. Rodriguez added. Exactly. 6 months later, everything's normal. Better than normal. Brian visits every Sunday for brunch. At my house, my perfectly safe house. He installed grab bars in the bathroom. I let him. They're actually useful. He got me a medical alert bracelet. I wear it. When I remember, he stopped suggesting assisted living. I stopped threatening to move in with the entire bridge club. We found balance, mutual respect, adult to adult, not parent to child. The bridge club still meets 4 nights a week. Sometimes Brian and Diane join. They're terrible players. We love them anyway. Last month, Patricia's son tried the same thing. Mom, your apartment isn't safe. The bridge club moved in for 3 days. Same strategy, same results. The technique works every time. Yesterday, Brian called. Mom, Diane and I are thinking about starting a family. That's wonderful. We were hoping you might help with childcare. If you're not too busy, I'm never too busy for my grandchildren when they arrive. And about that, when the baby comes, maybe we could move closer to you instead of you moving closer to us. That would be nice, because your house is actually really great. Lots of room, safe, perfect for kids. I thought it was unsafe for seniors. Long pause. I was wrong about that. Yes, you were, but you learned. That's what matters. With some aggressive teaching from you and the Bridge Club, we prefer forceful demonstration of competence. That's definitely what it was. Tomorrow is bridge night. The girls are coming over. We'll play until 1:30 a.m. We'll argue about bidding. We'll make too much noise. We'll eat too many snacks. And it will be perfect because we're not waiting to die. We're not being warehoused. We're not being managed. We're living on our terms, in our homes, with our friends, just like we should be. And if anyone suggests otherwise, we know exactly what to do. Pack our bags, round up the girls, move in for a week. Works every time.